Assalamu alaikum BDS. Now in continuation of discussion regarding drugs acting on different aspects of cardiovascular system, today we are going to see the first part of this group, antiarrhythmics. We have divided into two parts. Now let's have a look on a normal sinus rhythm. Impulses are taking origin from the SA node, spreading to the atrium on both sides, and through the AV node, these impulses are passing to the ventricle through bundle of His, and in this way, the single impulse which takes origin from SA node ultimately separates to the whole heart. Now, one thing must be remembered, which is very important, if the impulse to go to ventricles, there is only one normal pathway, that is AV node. All other will be abnormal pathways. Now, after this, what is cardiac arrhythmia? So, in a common way, we can define it in this way, that it is an abnormality in rate, rhythm, site of origin, and the conduction. Rate, if increase or decrease than the normal, it is arrhythmia. Rhythm, regular or irregular, obviously is arrhythmia. Site of origin normally is the SA node. Other than the SA node, either supraventricular sites or the ventricular sites, etc., all will lead to produce cardiac arrhythmia or the conduction of the cardiac impulse. It may be slowed down or it may be very rapid. So accordingly, changes on the ECG, electrocardiogram, may be narrow or broad, these Kuros complex, etc., etc. So all may be responsible for the development of the cardiac arrhythmia. Common causes of arrhythmias: either there may be increased automaticity of ectopic sites. Normal site is SA node. All other sites will be obviously abnormal sites, ectopic sites. So not only SA node is generating its own impulses, but at the same time other sites are also starts producing their own impulses ectopic. So there is a mixture of them that may lead to produce arrhythmias. Normally automaticity of the abnormal sites are below the SA node. They are working under the effect of SA node. But if their capability to produce the effect, that is automaticity, increased, then obviously they can start producing their own effects. Second, apart from impulse production, there may be increased conduction of a pulse from one place to another, or in response to the impulse, excitability of the depolarized tissue. Normally depolarized tissues are not responding to any new stimuli, but if excitability of those depolarized tissues increase, there may be chances of arrhythmias there. Third, there may be decreased refractive period. What is refractive period? So actually, it is a time or a period in which impulse cannot be generated. So if the time is decreased, that means now that non-responding time will be finished very rapidly, and then you can excite the cardiac tissue more earlier. So by decreased refractive period, more in depolarized tissue, especially re-entry circuit can lead to produce these arrhythmias. आगे जाके देखते हैं re-entry circuit क्या होता है. Why we should treat the arrhythmias? Remember, arrhythmias may cause sudden death, especially due to acute left ventricular failure, or due to arrhythmias because no synchronized contraction of the smooth muscle of the heart, especially ventricles, occur, or even atrial. So there may be formation of thrombus formation, or if it is dislodged, will be called as embolus. So formation of emboli may lead to produce stroke. Then there may be syncopial attacks also due to extreme decrease or even loss of cardiac output, or there may be sudden complete heart failure due to less blood supply to the heart, to the brain. There may be dizziness, or patient may just feeling palpitation. What is palpitation? Awareness of the heartbeat of its own. Or there may be absolutely no symptom. Although the patient suffers from arrhythmia, that patient is more in danger, because symptomatic can seek for the treatment or for any management, but asymptomatic patient is unaware about his or her own problem. Remember, arrhythmias occur up to more than 80% in myocardial infarction, and more than 50% during general anesthesia, and more than 25% patients who are taking digitalized drugs like digitalis, digoxin, etc. So, in all this condition, we must be very much careful, because these states of the drug may lead to produce different types of arrhythmias. Now, let's have a look on the normal action potential curve. Remember, normal threshold is the minus 85 millivolt. From here, when the sodium channels open, there is rapid influx. It is so rapidly occurring that the phase 0 is almost at 90 angle. It occurs within fraction of second, rapid, exactly 90 angle, and until these sodium channels are closed, and then this phase 0 ends. At the same time, then potassium channel starts opening, so the curve starts coming down. But immediately after opening of the potassium channel, calcium channels also starts opening. Now, calcium again behave like sodium. Its influx will lead to again try to produce again upward deflection of the curve. But because with potassium it is coming down, so with calcium it will try to go up. So it's almost in a plateau phase. So first was phase 0, rapid influx, so that is depolarization phase. Then the phase 1, early repolarization, then plateau phase due to calcium influx and potassium influx. During this time, early period, there is absolutely refractory period. No impulse can induce any sort of impulse during this time. Absolute non-responding. But then calcium channel closes, and the channels of potassium which were already open, that continue. Now the phase of depolarization again we can see, and the curve is coming down. This is phase 3. This is pure potassium efflux, showing potassium efflux. So ultimately it comes to down again at the level of almost threshold. Again here, up till the complete closure of the potassium, before that effective refractory period is there. This is the time again in which no impulse is being produced, but with force, with electrical current, or any other current, we can induce actually, but normally it's not there. So we can call it a relative refractory period. And then again the resting potential starts. Remember, in the resting potential, again preparation is being done for the next action potential. Now because sodium influx has occurred, sodium has come inside, calcium has come inside, potassium has gone outside. Now all should be rehabilitated. Now during resting phase, sodium will go again out, calcium will again go out, and potassium will come inside. All these are occurring through these mechanisms: sodium potassium pump or sodium calcium exchanger, etc., etc. But at the same time, during this period, a pacemaking is occurring due to the inward sodium calcium current. Actually, this is also known as diastolic channel currents. Some leaks occur of the sodium, etc., pre-potential period, and then again acute potential will occur, and new acute potential will be seen in the same way. There is some change, some differences occurring at the level of normal occurring at the level of S node, AV node, and other side. regarding the selection of the influx of ions. Remember, at the level of S node, AV node, during their phase 0, no sodium channels open, but there is opening of the calcium channel. Remember, calcium channels are slow responding as compared to the sodium channels. Sodium channels are more rapidly, we have seen it was a right 90 angle uprise, but in compared to sodium channels, calcium channels are slowly responding, and here phase 0 will be slowly rising, not 90 angle, it may be 100 or 110, etc. Just like I have shown you under red this and circles, S node, AV node, they are showing slow rise of the phase 0 phase of the action potential. So there is slow rise in stroke due to opening of slow responding calcium channel. This is at the level of SA node, AV node. While at the level of other sites, atria, ventricles or Purkinje fiber, bundle of etc., etc., here the changes involved are the sodium channels. They are fast responding. So there will be a rapid rise in phase 0 at these sites. We have seen in the diagrams. So this difference must be kept always in our mind. As I have shown you in the previous slides, in the preparatory phase, phase 4, in which the normal pacemaking was occurring, inherent leakiness was the sodium calcium channel at the level of SA node. So ultimately lead to produce of self excitation, and it is dominant than the other side, and it leads to producing normal impulse production at the level of SA node. Remember, by our knowledge of previous this pharmacology of the autonomic system, we must remember that heart is always under the control of parasympathetic and sympathetic. Parasympathetic through M2 receptors and sympathetic through beta receptor. And remember, we know M2 receptors were mainly present at SA node and AV node only. Very, very little on atrial muscles, and almost no concentration of M2 is seen in ventricles, while beta receptors were present at every site of the heart, SA node, AV node, all atria, all ventricle, etc., etc., full of beta receptors. This must be kept in our mind. And we must not forget the role of sodium, potassium and calcium ions at the level of heart, especially SA node, etc., etc. Just we have seen at the level of SA node, AV node, calcium was dominant, while at other side, atria, ventricle, Purkinje was sodium was dominant, but potassium was important for the repolarization on both sides. Whether calcium involved or sodium involved, repolarization will be occurring through potassium efflux, remember. So very important role of all these ions. This is the normal physiology. Just see the recording of a normal electrocardiogram ECG, recording of electrical activity. We know P wave shows atrial depolarization, QRS complex shows ventricular depolarization, and T wave shows ventricular repolarization. Here, from your knowledge of physiology, although atrial repolarization occur, but the time of atrial repolarization is starting when the strong ventricular depolarization starts. So that contraction is masked. So we can see only P wave, QRS complex, and no wave of atrial repolarization, but T wave will show ventricular repolarization. Remember, this impulse is producing and spreading. So in the language of physics, is it a scalar or a vector? It is a vector because it has both magnitude and the direction. So when the pulse is being produced, for example, from the SA node and spreading on to the various sides of the atria and then to the AV node and through AB node the bundle of is, and to the right and left bundle, and then to right and left vertical, etc. So impulse is spreading to the various direction. So obviously then we will calculate the resultant vector. Now this arrow is showing the direction of the resultant vector. The resultant vector direction is very important for this production or the detection of the ECG. In the ECG, mainly we have two types of leads, limbs leads and chest leads. Limbs leads as shown here, right and left arm, and obviously the left limb also. Accordingly we are given the name lead 1, lead 2, lead 3 anyhow, and also from AVR, AVF, these are just names, just forget about that, but diagrammatically we will show these are the different normal shapes of ECG 1, 2, 3, AVR. What is this? Different directions. Why? Just see the direction of the resultant vector. So when the electrodes are put rightly at the right angle of the in alignment of the direction of the resultant vector, it will show positive direction as in the limb lead 1. But if it is lying exactly opposite to the direction of the resultant vector, it will show the downward deflection as in lead 3. And if both plus or minus, it will show how much away from the direction of the resultant vector is electrode, which is detecting the quantity of the impulse. Actually, we are putting the electrodes which detect this magnitude of the current of the body of the resultant vector. So accordingly we will see upward or downward deflection. It is just this. Okay. Similarly, chest lead, we are putting the electrodes on the different sides of the chest as shown in the diagram, V1, V2, V3, V4 and V6. So they will show also in the same way direction of their different leads accordingly. So V1 is showing more on the downward side, that still the electrode which is present on the chest at the side of V1, it is slightly away from the direction of the resultant vector, while V6 is almost in alignment of the direction of the resultant vector. That is why it is more positive. Mechanism of arrhythmias. Remember, there is a normal relationship between refractive period and conduction velocity. Refractive period is the period in which no response. Conduction velocity, how much time is taking the impulse to pass from one side to another. So any change in this relationship may lead to produce arrhythmias. Now, re-entry, piche hum dekha tha. Now let's see what is it. If an ectopic beat finds one limb refractory, non-refractory. Now first of all, just in normal. For example, impulse is coming from up to down. Their division of the fibers of the muscle into two parts. So accordingly, this impulse will divide into two sides. And if again there is one limb of the this muscle fiber, it will again unite. So impulse passes down on both sides almost at the equal side and will come and will unite and will pass as a one further to the other sides of the cardiac fibers. If damage occur, for example in myocardial infarction, I have been telling you previous in lectures, what is infarction? Infarction is the death of the tissue due to ischemia, due to lack of oxygen supply to the site. So that site or that tissue will dead. So myocardial death of the myocardium. Now that tissue is not responding to any pulse. No electrical current, no other things, neither it is being involved in the contractile tissue. So both the activity of that dead tissues are lost. Electrical, mechanical. Electrical, no impulse production or passing. Mechanical, no contraction occurring. So how much tissue is involved which is dead. Accordingly, non-responsiveness of the conduction will be seen, and accordingly non-involvement in the contraction, that is in the force of contraction, or the cardiac output will be affected. So that much cardiac output will be decreased. So if it is much more part is involved, accordingly cardiac output will be failure and patient may go into heart failure. That is the reason after myocardial infarction patient may go into sudden cardiac failure, because the major part of the heart is dead due to ischemia. Similarly, major part is not allowing the impulses to pass on to the other sides, and arrhythmias will be occur. No synchronized contraction will occur and patient may die. Okay. If it is unidirectional and these smaller parts are involved, now what will happen? Impulse will come, on the normal side will pass, but on the damaged side usually initially it is showing prolonged refractory period, taking more time to get response. So still it is unidirectional block. How? Okay, when the impulse was coming from upside normal side, at that time that tissue was not responding. But when impulse is coming from retro side, by that time usually tissue starts showing a response. So patient may feel, usually what we do, we will see later on anyhow, okay, we will try either this tissue should be blocked in such a way retrograde and tissue not be allowing. So instead of unidirectional, we produce the tissue into bidirectional block. So no re-entry phenomena is then seen. Anyhow, now let's see what is trigger activity. Triggered by force, we are producing the impulse. If it is occurring in early time, it is early after depolarization, it's delayed. We will see in the, this is the diagram. In the blue color, it's a normal action potential, phase 0, 1, 2, 3. I told you phase 3, phase of repolarization, although it's a refractive time, refractive period, but if we by force produce, we trigger the activity, we can see the impulse production. As in the green, E stands for early, below purple D for delayed. So after deposition means it is occurring after the normal deposition of phase 0. So that is why it is, the name is given after depolarization. So action potential earlier than the normal time due to stimulating relative refractive period. That is the triggered activity. Early mean arises from the plateau almost immediately after the plateau, and delayed arises from the resting potential but much before the normal action potential. So obviously now the impulse will be coming much earlier than the normal action potential. So these may produce arrhythmias. Types of arrhythmias, two types: bradyarrhythmia, brady means less than 60 beats, tachy means above the. So that means a normal heartbeat is from 60 to 100 beats per minute. This is the normal rate. Bradyarrhythmias means there may be simple sinus, everything is normal, just rate is less than 60. It may occur due to hypothermia, simple, severe cold, or hypothyroidism, cholestatic jaundice, raised intracranial pressure, or beta blocker, or digitalis, ischemic arteries, etc., etc. Or there may be some problem in the heart block, complete. What is block? Heart block. I told you, for impulse to pass from atrium to ventricle, there is only one pathway, that is AV node. If that part is blocked, how much blocked? Completely or partially? If it is completely blocked, no impulse will pass from atrium to ventricle. So what ventricle will do then? Ventricle will start producing its own impulse below the AV node. So what we'll see, P waves are coming, but Quercus complex are coming separately. no synchronized. Normally what is happening? Normally is every Q-R-S complex is following the P wave. Okay, one P wave, one Q-R-S complex, one P wave, one Q-R-S. But here what we see, P waves are at normal 70, 60, 80, 90, but Q-R-S complex is much less. It may be 40s to 50s like that. Tachyarrhythmias, more than the more than the 100 beats per minute. It may be normally to take more simple exercise, emotion, but maybe pain, fever, infection, acute myocardial infarction, and so many other reasons I have written there. Some terminology, supraventricular tachycardia means above the ventricle, in the atrial you can say. Atrial fibrillation, irregular rhythm, atrial rate may be 300 to 600 beats per minute. So much P waves are coming. Even we rarely ECG we can see any wave. It may be simple straight line, but Q-R-S complex is coming. Anyhow, atrial flutter, less than the atrial fibrillation. Rather more larger groups are contracting together and showing its contraction. Rate may be up to 240 beats per minute of the P wave, but ventricular rate is less. Ectopics, ventricular ectopics. At any time, abnormal morphology of Q-R-S complex is seen. Different types I have shown you here. Ventricular fibrillation. Usually it's very common after myocardial infarction. It's a very dangerous, death can occur. What is fibrillation? No synchronized contraction of the any part. So what is the importance of ventricular fibrillation? Because ventricles are the only side which are involved in the contraction of the heart. Cardiac output is depending upon the ventricles. If ventricles are not contracted collectively, no cardiac outputs, sudden complete heart failure, patient will die immediately. So we can't wait to treat ventricular fibrillation. Another terminology, specific torsade de pontis, specific type of ventricular fibrillation. Here is actually a long QT. This is due to abnormality in the phase 3. This decreased outward current of potassium. Remember, potassium efflux is occurring, so to produce repolarization. If it is slowed down, then that means Q-R-S complex are prolonged. Phase 3 is prolonged. Usually it may occur due to mutation in the gene of potassium channel, so leading to decreased repolarization and long Q2 subtypes, etc. Usually it may be associated with the syncopal attacks or even sudden death can occur.